Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and it's a new week and we're moving on to a new book. So we're going to go to a book that we haven't hit in some time. This is Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. So we're going to be doing the Torment series this week, and we're starting with Spider-Man number 2. And if you're wondering how come we're not starting with Spider-Man number 1, that's where the Torment series starts. I already did Spider-Man number 1, and I'll put a link up at the end of the video here. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how well it'll hold up. I tend not to go back and rewatch these, unless it's the Supreme video. I've watched that one a few times. But I think I would probably still agree with at least most of what I said in that one. Although, to be honest, I think that was just a few months into doing this channel, so I had to learn some of the things I know now. So if you're going to go back and watch that, just watch it with a grain of salt. So we'll move on now. And the focus for this series is Spider-Man versus the Lizard. And it's Todd McFarlane versus his editors. And if you go back in the annals for how the Spider-Man series started, it seems as though there's kind of mixed reports. I think Todd has said that, his style was so popular, they had to give him his own book. While I think Tom DeFalco was the editor-in-chief at the time, and what he says is that when he was over in Europe, he noticed that there wasn't enough Spider-Man content. It was flying off the shelves and it wasn't filling the needs. So no, we need to add a new one on there. And Todd is probably constantly bitching about how he doesn't like to do what the writer says and how he's going to get quick comics at any moment and he's going to go leave the industry and oh, Todd. So I was like, you know what? Let's kill two birds with one stone. We're going to start up a new Spider-Man series. We're going to give Todd largely free reign, until we shut him down a year and a half from now and he throws a fucking tantrum and ruins the industry. And of course, it wasn't Image who ruined the industry. Image was just kind of the Archduke Ferdinand of the comics industry's collapse. But they're an easy rack to hang your hat on. Still, this book is endemic of the problems that Image suffered through the first few years of their existence. Primarily, who needs a writer when you have a great artist, right? The artist can just do the writing. It'll be just as good. At the very least, it'll sell just as well, and that much at least was true. So, why don't we get into this thing? So, as far as I recall, the conceit for this particular miniseries is that the Lizard is under the control of Calypso. I believe we kind of obliquely established that in issue 1. And looking at the cover here, we're going to get a lot of the stuff that Todd likes to do, where, the Lizard is much more demonic, really, than he's been in the past. It's an alright composition. It's not super standout. Todd has better ones in his repertoire, but it's certainly good enough anyway. And you get from the cover, of course, this isn't for kids. This isn't fun. This is Todd, and he's going to do his, his dark and gritty Spider-Man, because that's what the world needs. This is weirdly simplistic. I never noticed that. You'd think he'd just leave that. But, no, I guess not. Okay. Alright, so, opening it up here. So, we're going to start things off here with a pair of I guess Wall Street businessmen, because there's a thing here. And we're going to talk about how the one guy, the old guy here, by the looks of it, left some rubber vomit on his boss's desk, and the younger guy is trawling the personal ads for, and finds apparently what he's looking for. Again, not the kind of thing that's entirely appropriate for a Spider-Man comic, I think, not in 1990. So, young, sensuous female, 27 years old, looking for rich Wall Street type, must be willing to provide a variety of expensive gifts in return for the best love slave you can find. Will give you pleasure the moment you're done working, any place, any style. Right to Bambi. I guarantee it'll be wild, wet, wonderful, and worth it. Like, really? In 1990? Alright. And of course they're gonna walk down an alleyway in what I assume is New York. And we're gonna get Todd's signature vertical panels. I mean, Liefeld does this too, but I think Todd does it more successfully. And flip to double page splash with the Lizard leaping down. I'm not a fan of Todd's kind of cartoony faces, I gotta say. I assume plenty of people are. It's not my thing, really. With the gigantic eyes that are too close together. It's a little Barry Windsor Smithish, I guess. Like really early Barry Windsor Smith. But it's not, it's not my cup of tea, but I'm sure there are plenty of people who think this is awesome. Wrath of the Black Manta. Okie dokie. And we're going to cut to, they mentioned here about how the color dominating the alley is red. Even though it looks like the color is mostly green and yellow, a little bit of purple. But then we're going to cut to red. There's the red. And it's the jam on Peter's toast. And again, interesting. Todd's always good for interesting page layouts. This reads fine. You never really complain about his design sense. I try to every once in a while. But but yeah, Mary Jane and Peter are suggesting they're gonna get frisky later tonight, except that reading the paper, Peter notices, well, 2 more dead. So the 2 in the alley, and sees the graffiti on the wall and reads that as Connors. I don't know how you get that from there, but sure, CNNR. And bolts off to put on his Spidey-Man costume. And Mary Jane is just kind of going to let him go because she's seen Peter do this, where all of a sudden he has to Spider-Man. I kind of like that, actually, where they're just like, okay, well, so much for tonight, I guess. Pete's got to go punch things. And we're going to cut to oblique transitions. This is Calypso doing, like, kind of voodoo-y kind of stuff. And Calypso, I don't know what Calypso's deal is exactly. She seems to have some kind of connection to Kraven, I believe, although I could just be saying that because she wears, like, leopard skin, so. And, yeah, so she's going to curse Spider-Man here. And we're going to get the repeated doom, 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 because that's a motif. And apparently at least one side effect of the potion is to turn up his Spidey sense to the point where it kind of drowns everything out. The doom, 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 doom. And we get some pretty good Spider-Man poses. I think I said in the Eric Larson series, Eric Larson probably draws the best Spider-Man poses. And, I don't know, looking through this, maybe not. This is a book I didn't read at the time. I didn't read a lot of Todd McFarlane's Spider-Mans. And they're tough to get a hold of these days. Generally, you're going to spend at least $20 to get an issue. Apart from the early Spider-Man ones, which they overprinted ridiculously. So those ones are still reasonably affordable. But the stuff all looks great. That's not a pose I've seen before of Spider-Man. And it's pretty good. One of the things I don't like with Todd is that he has a tendency he has difficulty with forced perspective sometimes. So there all of a sudden, like, a leg will look like it's super fat and short instead of coming at you. So yeah, Spider-Sense gets overwhelmed. He falls off the building or gets hit. Probably hit, actually. I assume that the lizard is attacking him. And shoots out his web line blindly, swings into a building. And yeah, the lizard comes right after him here. And this is all pretty good stuff. It's it's a bit more hardcore again than you would expect to see in a Spider-Man book, particularly at the time. I kind of remember flipping through this kind of stuff at my friend's place, and again being like, man, this is way more like violent than I remember a Spider-Man book being. And that's still kind of the case. One thing I hate about Todd's writing, one of the many things I hate about Todd's writing, I don't know if he's sort of weaned himself off it by now. I assume probably. At least in the early days, he had a tendency to go second person, which is not a term you hear very often, because it kind of sucks as a narrative device. For the first time in a while, you believe you can die, so you fight. Fight with every fiber of your being, because you know that with all your vaunted strength, tonight it may not be enough. It's like, do I know that? Oh, damn. Okay, good. And Spider-Man just kind of runs away and hides in the elevator shaft. That's all right. Lizard comes right after him, tears through the doors. And we get like, Spider-Man doesn't have time to think, only to react. What? I thought Spider-Man was me. Well, now I'm confused. You can't just change the perspective of the narrator. A little bit of gore for a Spider-Man book. It looks like the Lizard got impaled here. And now we get the boobly boops showing that Spider-Man has been poisoned by his fight with the Lizard here. So, second part, I guess, of the potion that Calypso put together. And now seems as opportune a time as any to show Mary Jane dancing in what, like a seedy joint? Oh, it's one of the more fabulous nightclubs. It certainly looks like it. And not like a convenience store down some fucking side street. This is one of the drawbacks of over-rendering, is that everything looks kind of dirty here. And she's just kind of trying to distract herself while Peter is out doing superhero things, which you get the impression is something Mary Jane has to do often. I don't mind that. The placement, I don't know, but okay. The problem is he goes so dark on some of the previous stuff that when he tries to, cut it with some lighthearted stuff, it's just jarring. And so now the poison is working through his system, and I think maybe altering his train of thought. Talking about how the Lizard is out of control. He's killing people. He's never a murderer before. But he's, lost all... Because the Lizard spoke before. And now he's just been reduced to, like an animal. And great shot here. The shadow here was well done. If he's lit from behind and above... No, he might not be. It might be a little bit more in front of him, which would account for the shadow down here. Or, I don't know. Really, there shouldn't be a shadow down here if he's getting lit like that. This should all be black pretty much. But, what the fuck am I doing? You gonna pick that shit apart? Oh, here's our spawn shot. I think we get a couple of these over this series. But this is something he likes to... He's gonna try and port over to Spawn. And, it's an easy way to take up a bunch of space. We're going to get a little bit of backstory about the Lizard. And Spider-Man is mulling over how he may have just killed Kurt Connors. That'd be a drag, right? And Todd's going to try and do sort of a building of tension, I suppose. Not sure how successful that is. This helps, or can anyway, except that it's all very vague. One thing Todd's just not good at is narration. I mean, I suppose I should take it a little bit easy, because this is Todd's first time as a published writer, right? Except that, I'm pretty sure he probably lobbied for this, to an extent. And he doesn't have the chops for it. And I mean, he's going to continue writing after this. I assume he gets better at some point. I've never seen evidence of it, though. And now the rain that's falling on him, he's starting to see his blood. Good shots. This is one thing I can't get the hang of, is doing an extreme close-up of something like a hand. And just how do you put enough detail in there so it doesn't look like a cartoon? Oh, and what do you know? The Lizard's still alive, potentially. I mean, it could be the poison working his way through. The poison might have made him think that he killed the Lizard when he really didn't. The Lizard, I'm pretty sure he's super durable and probably has some sort of accelerated healing. So there's that too. And there's a little bit of talk here about, as we go to press on Spider-Man number 2, it looks like Spider-Man number 1 has become the best-selling U.S. comic of all time, with a big old 1 million copies sold. That is an accomplishment. It is on the back of multiple covers, but, I've kind of come to the conclusion that's the only way you can ever sell more than 1 million copies. You know, X-Force did it too. They didn't have multiple covers, but they had different cards polybagged in each version of X-Force #1. And then, of course, Jim Lee's X-Men #1, 5 different covers, right? Each one supposedly sold 2 million copies. So, you know, But, yeah, in order to really break records, it looks like multiple covers is the way you have to do it. And that's it for Spider-Man #2. We didn't get a lot in there, did we? Spider-Man fought the Lizard and went and thought about things. That's the formula for Spawn. Yeah, no, not a whole lot happened in that at all. Man, remember back when the Magnus series, how long those videos took? Because I had to go into this. I'm used to going into every aspect of the story because there's so little story, right? And then, you take that mentality over to Magnus and you end up with 40-minute fucking videos. I'm going to have to develop different gears for doing the different kinds of books if I'm going to keep focusing on books that actually have writers on them. You got to wonder a little bit what made him think that he could stretch this out to 5 issues. Well, we'll find out what would have made him think that. I'm sure there's many twists and turns coming up, and that it's not just that Spider-Man will keep running and the Lizard will keep catching up with him, and they'll punch each other a lot, and it will be, more bloodthirsty than we've ever seen a Spider-Man comic before, and eventually Spider-Man will hit a lowest point, at which point he'll probably win because he's super strong. That wouldn't happen, though. Because this is an auteur we're working with here. I am not kind to Todd as a writer, am I? He can comfort himself with his fucking millions. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when Spider-Man 3 drops. And we will get just so much character and plot development. Your head will spin, undoubtedly. Until then, go to the links and go subscribe on my Patreon. That's where you're going to find all the Blood Force comics and the pages, the individual pages, as well as these videos before they get to YouTube, usually a week or so in advance. I'm not going to claim that I get all sorts of character development and shit. My characters don't develop at all. I'm proud to say it. But after you subscribe there, what you should do is you should go over to my Instagram and commission some artwork. That would be just the best way to cap your day possible. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. All right, so opening it up here. I haven't read this yet. Is that important?